Welcome to a new episode of Skatography. It's Wednesday, and like every Wednesday, we have a marathon in Amsterdam. Amsterdam, the capital of the Netherlands. I am right now on the Jaap Ede, ready for a race of 25 laps. And as you can see, I am right on the front, getting some compliments for my videos I make. Because it's quite exceptional that of all the races we have in the Netherlands with ice skating, we don't really have FPV footage. So that's quite appreciated. And this is the warm-up lap, 25 laps we have to do, and as you can see, I am already taking my position right behind number 77, and that is Edgar Donkelfiet. He is, just like me, a skating instructor on this track in Amsterdam. And I decided to shadow him. And why did I do that? Well, he's actually ranked number 2 from the M4. And that's not bad. That's not bad. He's taking the points in. And as you can see, he is he's going very slow in the beginning just to grind the laps and then give everything at the end. And I am just shadowing him, trying to stay in the draft, doing as less movement as possible. And I also have a second job, and that is to protect the line. And what do I mean by protect the line? If you saw my footage from Haarlem, I told you that you always have to protect the inside line. So that's what you do. Over here, you protect the inside line. And depending if there is an attack or not, either you stay on the inside, either you fan out. So what do? I try to not only shadow Edgar, but if I see he's on the left, I try to stay on the right. If he's on the right, I'm staying at the left, just to make form a wall. And as you can see, I'm always checking my 6 to look if I have to close the gap, yes or no. And if I don't need to do it, then I just stay behind him, staying in the draft, and trying to use Edgar to stay dominant in the front position. It's not always quite easy. Like over here, you can see I told him there's an attack coming from the right. There was a wide attack, so I didn't take the risk to go to the outside. And right on the front, Edgar is trying to close the gap. It's not a big attack, it's not a big risk. So he could have let him go, but you never know. There are some very strong sprinters here in the M4. And if they get a little gap, then the first thing they will try to do is to form a bigger gap, 100 meters, 200 meters, and try to lap. So that was a good move, trying to fend off this first attack. Check on my 6, on my left, on my right, and always informing the people on front if there is something coming, because you can imagine that if you're totally on front, it's not easy to know what's happening 20 meters behind. So the least I could do, not only to protect them, but especially protect myself, is to tell them if there is an attack coming from the right or the left. Nothing happening. You can see we widen up, just to prevent someone coming from the right. And also this move, I could stay close behind him, but I can also counter move. That means that if he's going to the left when he's doing the S curve on the straight, I go to the right just to destabilize the people in the back. And if they have like the idea of coming on the inside or the outside, that at least they have something else to think about. Like, okay, there are two people. They're taking a bigger space than I thought. On the right, I have some cool friends, always looking at how I'm doing the race. And to be honest, talking about my endurance, on one side I feel very well. I had 2 days off on the Saturday and the Sunday, and so I am well rested physically. However, on the Friday I had a cold, so that meant that I had to stay in bed. I had a little bit of a stiff neck, and I had to deal with it. Okay, so now this is the first attack, the first important attack. And at first we thought, okay, let it go because he's not gonna make it in his zone. But then his pace was quite high compared to us, so we thought, okay, this is something that could be serious. So Edgar is also looking at the guy in the red, and he's like, okay, no, this we have to catch up and maybe form a peloton of 3 or 4. The guy in the yellow is doing nothing, so Edgar is trying to close the gap, and I'm like, okay, 3 song guys, we can make it. So I'm following him, and this is where I burn my first match. It's a little sprint, trying to keep up, staying with the guys. But now the guy in red is slowing down, so Edgar is like, no, I have a high pace, so let's keep it, and let's just push. And like I said, I'm just shadowing him, trying to use as less energy as possible, staying close to him. Always check on my left and my right. And if you look at my head movement, you can almost see that I'm doing very slow movement. And like, here I'm, okay, you know what? You did the first 100-meter sprint, so now it's my turn. I'm taking it over. However, over here I am thinking about what I should do, because yes, I could stay on the front, and here I'm like, okay, somebody has to take it over, but that's not really happening. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do all the work. And I know that they know that I'm a sprinter, so what they would like to do, my adversary, what they would like to do is to drain the energy out of me, because they know that I cannot stay on a high pace for long. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do the work. You're the strong guys on the front, so you take it over, and I come back into the peloton right behind, using the draft. And that's the funny thing about marathon skating, it's really a game. Now here we are lapping the first skaters. And on one side I'm like, okay, I have to catch up, I'm gonna stay with them. But on the other side I'm also like, okay, they're not, I'm taking a risk because they're not accelerating. You see, on the contrary, they're going slower. So I'm just staying behind. And eventually we will let the peloton take over, and us using a draft. And this is actually working out very well for me. The reason why, I'm a sprinter, and what do you want as a sprinter is to use as less energy as possible and keep everything for the end. So all the work that you're doing on the front, like right now I'm catching all the wind, and that's draining energy. So yes, I could have accelerated and tried to keep my position on front, but that would make me like the mule trying to pull the whole wagon. So I'm not doing it. And there he is. There is Edgar. Happily for me, he's in front of me, so I can use a little bit of his draft. But this is actually one of the mistakes I made during the race, and that is that I was too much on the outside. So I tried to push myself to the left just to take a little of the draft, but there is somebody right next to me on the left, and I cannot get inside of the train. The guy in green, he does. And I tried to get in, but it doesn't work. Because as you can see on the left, where is he? There's this guy on the left, and he would not let me go inside of the train. So that's a very good defense. So now my only option is to let everybody pass me, so that I can use the draft just to recover a little, and then later on take on back my position. So here's just using the draft, recover, and then eventually at one moment I'm like, okay, I'm recovered and I have to take back my position, and I will have to do it with a small sprint on the outside. And I think that is actually what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Going on the outside, small acceleration, back in position number 4, 5. Trying to get in front, and here I am in a draft. Unfortunately, they don't accelerate. So there are some skaters passing us from the right. And here I find myself blocked in again. And the reason why that happened is that I don't commit. I should be a little bit more aggressive when trying to get in the train. And why am I not aggressive? Well, it's my first year of marathon, and the last thing I want is like to get in front of somebody or on the back, and then getting the skates stuck to each other, fall on the ground, and then lose the whole race, and having some grumpy guys yelling at me, yeah, what did you do? So I am very cautious, and maybe I shouldn't, but because I didn't commit, you can see I lost like maybe 20 positions. So here I have to burn another match on the outside, retake my position. And the thing about taking the outside line is that you have to go faster than the other skaters just to stay on the same pace or the same speed when taking a corner. So if you really want to overtake them, then you have to go much faster. Now this is working out for me. It's a little busy, but making use of the draft, taking the draft and choosing out my moment to take back my position. So I'm waiting for that moment, and eventually when everybody is slowing down and standing up, I use the harmonica effect and I go back to the front. But I am again not committing to the inside. I'm not going into the train. So I'm full out in the wind again. And that is me just burning off my matches. Matches I need to save for the end sprint. Fortunately, I am behind Edgar. He's on the right, and I'm like, okay, that's a guy I have to follow. So one way or another, I have to choose position. However, I'm stuck again in traffic. So I'm doing like almost a contra harmonica move. But I still feel quite well. I'm not exhausted yet, even though it's going a little faster, and I'm always on the outside line. which makes my distance longer. I have to skate faster than the other just to keep up. And here I'm like, okay, burning another max just to fight for my position, being dominant. So that's happening right now. And here I'm going to the front because what I want to do is to slow down the train. I'm a sprinter. I need to save my energy, so I'm slowing down. But Edgar noticed that I'm trying to slow down the whole pack, and he knows that's my strong point, sprinting. So he wants to stay dominant also, and he wants to set a pace like 3 or 4 laps before the end, and going faster and faster and faster just to counter the sprint, because his biggest opponent, the guy in number 1 in the ranking of the M4, is a sprinter. So Edgar is using a tactic. He wants to counter his opponent. Unfortunately, I'm also a sprinter, so I got caught up in his tactic, which was a very good one. So I will need to chase something for my my next race in order to keep up the pace. And you see that's happening right now. They're accelerating, going faster and faster with the lap. And because I already burned some matches just to fight for my position, and because I got on the was caught on the outside, I have some difficulty with keeping up. But still, I'm doing my best trying to use the draft just to save energy. But here you have another attack from the back, and I'm really having trouble keeping up. And I can feel I'm not well on my skates, because you for those who know ice skating and who do like 10 or more laps, the biggest fight you have with ice skating is fighting against the acid in your legs, the sourness. That's really something. So here I'm like, okay, I will try to make an attack, but I almost slip, I almost fall off the ice, and I know, okay, I'm not gonna be able to catch up. They went 1 lap too fast, too early for me to be able to catch up. So I'm like, wow, this is slipping out of my hands, and I know that I'm not going to be able to make that sprint. Exhausted, maybe because of the cold I caught, but also because of some stupid mistakes, staying too much on the outside, catching too much wind. And here I see everybody going by, pass by, and bye bye, see you next time. Me, of course, pissed off because I was, well, feeling okay. But you know what they say, either you win, either you learn. And here, yep, I learned the hard way. So what do I need to work on? Well, first of all, I think I need to be more dominant. Really, if I want to stay in a position, I have to put my leg between 2 skaters and like middle finger, even if they're grumpy, doesn't matter as long as I can keep my position. So that's number 1. So be less scared. Number 2, I would really have to work on my endurance, because sprinting is good, but from all the races I have never been able to use my sprint once. And I know I am a fast sprinter, but if you're not able to use it, or like this race of today, getting countered, then it's no use having a sprint. So that's going to be my training for this week. A lot of not plyometrics, but calisthenics, just to get my my legs really sour, and to be able to keep up with the guys when they go 3, 4, 5 laps before the end. So guys, that was it. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe and share the video. And I see you next time. The next race is going to be this Monday in Haarlem. So next week you will see the footage.